Episode 3 is titled The Profligate. Let's get into it because I don't want to waste your time and there's a lot to discuss. So, this episode starts off with Thaddeus. Thaddeus is currently controlling a Sunset Sarsaparilla plant as he is working with a bunch of children that are either ghouls, mutated, or somehow connected to other ghouls' children, as they are currently working a 20-hour shift counterfeiting bottle caps for Thaddeus. As this whole scene is just kind of funny, and it's really cool that they keep on introducing a Sunset Sarsaparilla into the series, as it is a staple of Fallout New Vegas and just something that I think is really cool. And they do a really good job with this scene. I really do like the effects that everyone has on, and yeah, we'll get back to them later in the episode. But moving on, we finally get to catch on what happened to the Legion after they took Lucy in. Lucy and the other slave girl are brought forward into a tent as Legate Lannius then kills the slave girl that Lucy just helped out last episode and brings Lucy to go meet Caesar. It is then revealed that Legate Lannius is Macaulay Culkin, and I think that is really cool. It is such an interesting dynamic to have him do this. Now, I can actually see, later in this episode we'll discuss it, but I actually can see Macaulay Culkin's character as Legate Lannius try to take the throne of Caesar, but we'll discuss that very soon. But as we later figure out, both of these Legion camps are actually divided. There's just two different separate Caesars because Caesar's body's in between both camps, and either thinks that they're the true succession. That's definitely how the Legion would have ended. I get some people are saying, oh, it's a little different than the game because the game says that once Caesar's dead, that Legate Lannius takes control. Obviously, there would just be a power grab. You put a bunch of like these angry dudes in an area where they all think that they're all the main character. Yeah, each one of them, or at least the main leaders between the two, are going to fight each other. And this is definitely, yeah, I get it. They're using another Civil War dynamic. But I think this one's fine. It looks like it's over quickly at the end of this episode. But we'll get back into that. But Lucy offers to help fix the relationship between these two groups. And it looks like for a second, Macaulay Culkin's going to agree to that dynamic of Lucy helping ramify the differences between these two groups. But then we see that she's crucified. She's not dead. She just hung up on one of the electric poles. But yeah, that's definitely something where I kind of saw that going with the Legion dynamic. I'm very surprised they didn't kill Lucy off the bat. I knew that they were going to do something awful to her, but she was able to at least get herself out of that. But moving on, we get to see what happened to the ghoul. Ghoul, after getting stabbed by the rat scorpion, crawls over to one of the hospital pool areas or something similar like that, and uses a knife while talking to Dogmeat, or CX404, to extract the little bit of the stinger that's still left in him that actually is giving him a lot of the poison. And from this situation, we get to learn the dynamic, because we get a little flashback, between him and his wife before the bombs dropped. Now, during the scene, we see his wife packing up a lot of the goods in the house as she is scared of the bombs dropping. And yes, she does understand it's going to hurt her family. But at the end of the day, she is still a businesswoman and wants to help out the business. And the business is the end of the world, something that she is actively pushing. And while Cooper, trying to play that he doesn't know that the bombs are going to drop, tries to do that. And his wife is like, oh, yeah, the bombs won't drop, but she definitely knows that they're going to drop because she just announced that they were going to. But we get to see where that storyline's at least going. Now let's move on to where Cooper was for this whole thing, or where he was leaving towards after. Now, Cooper Howard was going to go meet up with one of his friends, and he does meet up with them at this Veterans Hall, basically just a committee and celebration from their, obviously, foreign affairs when they were in the Battle of Anchor Ridge. Now, the Battle of Anchor Ridge, we will get flashbacks next episode, but we'll get to that at the end of this video. The more unique thing about seeing this Veterans Hall for the first time is understanding where a lot of these soldiers are coming from, as they were wearing the T-45 power armor, which sucks compared to other versions of it. And yes, I know you can still find it in other games, but it does have flaws, and it's definitely not the best. And these soldiers were basically the test pilots for that armor and seeing what it can and cannot do really well. Now, when Cooper Howard goes to go use the bathroom, Mr. House is waiting for them. Mr. House knows Cooper is going to try to get him, and he's just trying to understand Cooper's dynamic in Vault Tech because he sees Cooper as an asset that can help him get to something he wants, which will probably be the cold fusion. We'll yet again get to that later in this episode. After this scene, we get to see the fallout of Harkness showing up at the Brotherhood of Steel, as some of the groups are just gone, or they're wanting to leave, as, yeah, the Commonwealth does scare them. And now that the Commonwealth knows that they were going to try to start doing a civil war, they're all just leaving and saying, hey, we don't want any part of this. We don't want the smoke, which is understandable. But Maximus is like, why don't I just kill this Harkness guy? And obviously that gets rejected because he is referred to as the sword and he's dumb from what his elder says, and he should leave the thinking up to him and his scribes and all these other people, which he's not right for. Maximus, out of, I think, the majority of the Brotherhood of Steel, is incredibly smart with his decision, and I agree with him. If the Harkness was going to go tell the Brotherhood of Steel that you have this cold fusion, you were starting a civil war, why not just kill him? He has a good point. But after leaving this little meeting, Harkness recruits Maximus, saying that, hey, come on, you can help me out here. We're both soldiers. You guys have way too many clerics or scribes. It's definitely, we need more people to actually do stuff, and it looks like you do stuff around here. So we get to see them both team up for a little bit. Now we're gonna head back a little bit over to Lucy's situation at the camp, which does not look good, as the ghoul is spotting her through an eyeglass just to see what's going on. And he sees that she is trapped inside of a Legion camp, so he decides to go get help with the NCR. What's the best place to go get NCR help? Obviously, Camp Golf. Unfortunately for Cooper Howard, he's a few years late and cannot find any of the NCR there because they're mostly all wiped out or put in other positions, because after the loss of Shady Sands and constantly fighting the Legion, it's going to do that to you. But he does find one person there, Victor, which is the return of a legend. I love my boy Victor. Victor remembers the ghoul, or at least Cooper Howard, as he talks to him, and during their discussion, we learn that Mr. House did task Cooper with getting cold fusion, and Cooper Howard did not do it for some reason, or something along the lines of not wanting to help Mr. House, which I personally think that this was the first kind of step before Mr. House was like, yeah, let's develop this platinum chip system. Now, I don't know if the platinum chip got delivered or something along the lines. We'll discuss that later in the episode. But yeah, we learned from this discussion that evidently the Mr. House tasks Cooper Howard in a future episode with getting the cold fusion for him, as it seems like the theme of the season is who can get their hands on the cold fusion or at least revolutionize each other. But at the end of this discussion, we get to hear Victor say there's still a few remaining Rangers over in the mountains over there, and Cooper understands that and heads in that direction. Now we get a quick little scene with Maximus and Harkness as they are on the Vertibird. They are flying just around with some power armor, and they're just kind of broing and hanging out. And basically, Harkness does try to recruit Maximus, which, yeah, it does sound like a good idea. I think Maximus would do better in the Commonwealth, but we'll run into that issue later where Maximus does have different values than the Commonwealth group. We'll get right back to that. First, we get to meet the NCR, or at least a small little ranger group. The ghoul gets knocked out by one of them and pulled out to their camp. Now, the ghoul doesn't want to hurt these guys, as he wants to use them as extra gunfire to help kill the Legion. The NCR, though, is not doing well. There's only a few of them remaining. They're old. One of them is a little bit crazy. And yeah, they're not doing well. They're trying to wait on a battalion that is supposed to come and reinforce them. Now, obviously, the ghoul does not think this battalion is coming. But I personally think that this battalion will be showing up at the end of the season, because it's kind of obvious they're not going to mention that there is a bunch of remaining NCR forces without showing them. So we will probably be getting this group, or at least this ranger group, show up again. If not, the battalion group will be showing up, because somehow the NCR power armor that's part ranger will have to be created, and we will probably see its creation. But the Rangers cannot help with the Legion situation, as it's just too many of them, but they give Cooper some chems and say just kind of help out any way you can. Maximus and Harkness, while broing out, pick up a energy sign, and because they're the Brotherhood of Steel, they can go fix it. So they go investigate it for themselves, as Harkness has an extra suit of power armor that he lets Maximus use. As they both go into the Sunset Sarsaparilla plant and encounter one of the security forces, which is a Securitron. Securitrons are really cool, and I personally saw the Mark II military face, but it didn't fire any of the missiles, which makes me think the platinum chip or something has some sort of issue that would probably need the cold fusion to help fix, which we'll get later into another episode about that probably. But they definitely have the Mark II automation, which does mean the House won, but something did happen to House, or at least his House systems, where it's not working to its full capability. Obviously, they now kill this Securitron. And what's really cool about the scene is we get to see a super sledge in use. I wish we got more of it in this episode. Yeah, it was really cool. Yeah, it's really cool. I still want to see like a Legion member or like a Fiend get hit across the face with this thing, as the super sledge is one of my favorite melee weapons in all of Fallout. Now, after this scene, we get to see an update on Lucy's situation with cuts between while attending the veterans ceremony, as his friend is mainly speaking right now about doing the right thing. And yeah, the right thing can be deadly, it can lead to death, but at the end of the day, you are doing the right thing. And that's kind of the message I got out of him. During this scene, though, we get to see the ghoul give up the NCR's location. And I personally do not think he actually gave up the real location, because he uses this as a diversion to get Lucy and to blow up the Legion camp, or at least the little mound that's stopping them from fighting each other. So he starts a giant Legion civil war. I do think we'll get the part 2 of the Civil War and who really won at the end of next episode. But the ghoul kicks off this whole bunch of chain of events, which we will definitely see the ramifications later in the season. But Lucy and the ghoul are back together, and I think Lucy has definitely learned her lesson to stick with the ghoul and give him the stim pack, which is very important, and she should have done that for the first time. At least she won't hopefully make that mistake again. But let's move on to the final part of this episode. Now, Harkness and Maximus find that group of children and Thaddeus, as Harkness, because he's part of the BOS Commonwealth, and they hate abominations and anything mutated, wants to kill all the ghouls, as he makes some of the smooth-skinned children stand to the side. And it's really this weird, I wouldn't say weird's kind of a wrong term about this. It's more of like a surreal thing where it was like, yeah, he's executing mutated creatures, but at the same time, those are children, and he is going to execute them because he still stands to his BOS morals. Which leads to Maximus killing him with the super sludge by knocking him on the top of his head. Obviously, we will see the ramifications of this next episode. It looks like from the promo that we will get Thaddeus trying to pose as the Brotherhood of Steel Harkness guy so he can leave normally. Obviously, that does not work out. It leads to a civil war. We already saw the BOS gunships fighting each other. So I guess we'll start to see some of that next episode. Moving on, though, we do get to see one important thing. In the promo for this episode, or at least the next episode, we get to see a Deathclaw in Anchorage, which would be a great teaser for FEV and possibly Super Mutants. I already discussed it in a short, but I can't wait to see this. I thought this episode was amazing. What do you guys think about it? What do you guys think about this review video? Is there anything I could do to improve? Please let me know in the comments, as you guys are all outstanding, and thank you so much for watching.